Standing on your partner's left hand side. You may want their arms off the table. Your lower dantian. Drop your mind and breath into your belly. Take a few breaths to ground and center yourself. Reach out as if from your lower dantian. Place your hands on your partner's low back. Make contact. Just let your hands kind of melt onto their body. And feel their breath. And coordinate your breathing with theirs. Rocking. Check their shoulders and their feet, make sure the whole body is engaged. Good to and fro motion, not emphasizing either one. And left hand up the spine, up the governing muscle. Way to the neck and out across the far shoulder and down. And across to the near side and up. Back to the spine and down. We get to the right hand. The right hand goes across the glutes and down the far thigh. All the way to the popliteal crease and come across to the near. And again up. And we're going to make that loop again. Back to the low back. Left leg way back. Roll and rock. Left foot steps up. Way up rock. And left foot slides in. Lumbar rock. Try to make contact with the whole hand, all that webbing between the first finger and the thumb. And work up and down between the ribs and the iliac crest. And fingers in to L5. We start finger kanbiki.
Far side.
We're on the far side. Back and forth across the erectors, inching your way up. You get all the way across, back and forth across the erectors. Get between the spine and the scapula, it takes on a little more elliptical shape, and then segue into the neck and shoulder. Gets a little bit circular between the scapulas. Oh, when we change sides, we should have had them turn their head, shouldn't we? So if they didn't do it, you haven't done it, let's have them do it now. We'll squeeze their neck whenever they turn their head. And we can go into the two-handed neck and shoulder transition. And step up, we start thumb can be up on the table. Okay, so remember, we can do this with our knees if we want to. We can step across behind their head with your, on this side will be your right foot. You want to triangulate your weight, get a little better weight distribution. It actually gets your dantian over your thumbs. A little bit better, doesn't it? It's actually the best position, all things considered. Your belly. Take your time. Try to be thorough. Across iliums and along the sacrum to the bottom, then double palm press. Stretch the sacroiliac ligaments. Then right hand, let's go first. Comes up to mid-back. Left hand, let's go as you step up with your knees, thumbs together, Jaji line. So first is a light pass, just tracing the groove and getting your spacing kind of down. Then back to the middle, and this time let's all breathe in together. On the exhale, begin. Just leaning your weight into the points, into your thumbs. Working with their breath. Ride the elevator down. Ride the elevator back up. Again, try to keep your thumb joints aligned with your arms. Here we get to the top and bottom. Come back to the mid-back, but cross over the spine, and we'll repeat on the near side. Remember to do your light pass first. Give your thumbs a little bit of a rest. Check your start point, and then the deeper pass with the breathing. Okay, we hit top and bottom. This one where we pivot on the left leg. Leave it on the table, drop the right foot down to the floor. Bring your left hand up to the shoulders where your right hand is. And no thumbs. I'm just going to squeeze the shoulders. Knead. Give our thumbs a little break, and I'll wait for you to get caught up here so we can all proceed together. Okay, so 4 fingers opposed to the heel of the palm is the technique there, and then we're going to bring our thumbs into it and start thumb circles. So for the first time, we're doing both sides together. So remember, the thumb circle comes from your back and your shoulders. It's not really your thumbs. It's not your thumb joints. The circle's as big as their erectors. And you want to keep your arms out in front of you. So you slide back on that left leg. You're comparing the two sides and letting them compare their two sides. Again, we're going to cross the iliums and follow the edge of the sacrum down to the bottom. Then squeezing and pinching the skin on top of the sacrum. It's kind of a quick squeeze and release. Then, at the lumbosacral junction, we're going to get a skin roll and lift and work our way up the governing vessel. Remember to use the heels of your palms as the fulcrum. Don't use your shoulders. And slide up on that leg. Get all the way to the top of the back, base of the neck, where we may need to knead again, more like we did on the sacrum. Then we get that leg off the table. And let's turn your head over. Squeeze their neck. If you need this right shoulder open, it's probably a good time for them to turn back. Then two-handed kneading, squeezing the shoulder. Bring their arm up onto the table in that process. And then the right hand, left hand kind of stays there kneading while the right hand goes into the tricep squeeze and twist. Left hand then comes down to their arm. There's kind of a quick succession of steps there. Okay. So should just be 3 of those, then pivot and palm press the forearm. Back up to the elbow. Okay, third time. So it's once for each of the yin channels of the arm. Think about all 3 of them. You can switch your intention from one to the other. Come all the way off the fingertips and step up above their shoulder. Right foot way back. Left foot's going to be either inside or outside the table leg. You've got to sort of figure out where that works best for you. Right hand sort of holds the back of the head and the hair out of the way. The left thumb is going to work. We're going to do our 3 lines across the top of the shoulder. Pushing off the earth with that right foot and leg. Feel like you move your dantian forward into your thumb. Okay, so, and the 3 lines, each one moves closer to the table, about a thumb breadth. They all wind up in the acromioclavicular V. So remember, the idea is place the thumb, then push your whole body into it. That's what applies the pressure. Okay, I'm going to do a 4th pass just to make sure everybody's with me. Then, right foot steps up, thigh all the way to the table. Left foot steps back. Now the right thumb is in position at the neck-shoulder junction, and we'll start our, and the left hand goes to the shoulder and kind of holds the arm steady. And we'll do our 3 lines up the neck to the occiput. So your fingers on top sort of push down a little bit, kind of stabilize so you don't push the head away or roll them over onto their face. Again, we're moving progressively anterior, closer to the table, but all on the right side of the neck, spine. So again, I'm just going to do a fourth pass just to make sure we're all together. Then step up and hook your fingers on the occiput, massage and pull. Lengthen the neck. Then up onto the head. Fingers massaging the scalp. And get the back of the head. The whole upper hemisphere here and the side. Get down around the ears, in front and behind the ears. Shift to your thumbs and get the top of the head and the governing vessel. And back to the fingertips. Get the forehead. Very anterior part of the head. Then right hand slips around the forehead. Left hand to the back of the head, scoop up the hair. Turn their head, place it, squeeze the neck, let them settle into the new position, and we'll start our scalp massage, this time more at the forehead. Use the pads of your fingers, like squeezing a volleyball. The sides. The top with your thumbs. Down around the ears. That's where we get a little of that friction rub. And the back of the head. And we're back to the occiput, massage and pull. Again, lengthening the neck, stimulating all those points at the base of the skull, but not pulling hair. Then take your, we're going to now position our feet. Again, we're going to work across the top of the shoulder. So right foot up, either inside or outside the leg. The table, left foot back, right thumb in position at the neck shoulder junction. And begin pushing off the earth. Sit back into the leg. So you got to bend that knee and use that back leg. Shifting your weight forward. And if their arm isn't up on the table, you want to bring it up there. You'll see it works much better. It will feel better to them. Okay, we're at the acromioclavicular V. Step up. Left thigh against the table, right foot slides back. Left thumb at the neck shoulder junction. the 3 lines up the side of the neck. Okay, we're at the occiput. Stand up, and we're above the head of the table again. Even out the shoulders, and then we're going to do both shoulders simultaneously from the neck-shoulder junction out to the V. Again, we'll do 3 passes. Then stand up and thumbs alongside the spine. We're going to do our 3 short lines down to about mid-scapula. So first it's the jaw-G line. Then up to the top, out a little bit, crest of the erector line, inner bladder line. Up to the top, and we're going to do the medial border of the scapula line, outer bladder line. Okay, step to your right, and pivot around. Both hands kneading the left shoulder and neck, segue into the tricep squeeze and twist. And pivot at the elbow, palm presses. So this time, let's try to be a little more specific. With the heel of our palm, we're going to go down the heart channel, which is the most ulnar and the most exposed, the easiest one to do in this position. And we're going to take it right on out the little finger. Back up to the elbow. We need to push the elbow up a little bit, expose the pericardium channel, going down the middle. And out the middle finger. Push the elbow up a little bit more. Support it with your thigh. Like a barricade on the side of the table. Get in along the radial compartment. And we're going to go across the thenar eminence to the thumb. Now, let's just do one more, kind of integrating the 3. Broad palm press. Right off the fingertips. Take the arm off the table. Get the crook of the elbow right at the edge. Push across, do the same with the other hand. If you have rings on, we're going to take them off. Get ready? Okay, left knee up. Swing the right foot over into the armpit. Stand up. Even out their shoulders, smooth out their shirt. Slide out, find the border of the scapula, halfway in between, crest of the erectors, jiggle a little bit, find the intercostal space. Line your thumbs up. Remember, knees are bent. You're going to sit down into your legs and kind of keep your feet flat. Don't rock forward or back. We're going to work with the breath, so let's all breathe in together. And ride the elevator down. That's first when you may still not have a whole lot of leverage. Don't worry about it. And then let the breath push you back up and out. Slide down to the next one. Again, get your thumb alignment. You want to get that straight before you put any pressure, any weight into it. Slide your feet back, step back as you need to. Get to the iliac crest. We're going to keep our line and follow the SI joint and the edge of the sacrum. You can go a little faster here. Go down to the bottom of the sacrum, then back up to the top of the sacrum and in a little bit. Find what you think to be the first sacral foramen, then second, third, and fourth. And then double palm press on either side of the sacrum. Really sit down into its stretch and relax. Stand up and we'll dismount. Bring your right foot across, kneel down. Step off with your left foot. Turn and face the torso. Your hands are on the sacrum. Everybody ready? Okay, cupped hand percussion. Get your rhythm and your pressure first. Make sure your wrists are loose. Your hands are going to fit their side. We work up. Listen to the sound. Nice and resonant. Shouldn't be slappy. Green beaks. Right up the crest of the erectors, loose wrists. T across the shoulders. the way to the bottom of the sacrum, elbows out, segue into raindrops. Keep your fingers open, watch the landing point, not the blur. Again, all the way to the bottom of the sacrum, clap your hands together, hook your thumbs, duck quacks. Slide your right foot way back, bring your arms in, shoulder width apart, bend your wrists, curl your fingers, hitchhiker, lower them down, and we'll keep the arms parallel to their back. Feel yourself landing. Make a definite but still a soft thud. Your way back down. Stand up, air pillows. Again, remember to land and let the wave ripple through their body. Trying to massage the internal organs, not just bounce off their back. Change the direction of the circle, and as I slow it down a little bit on the way back down, I linger a little bit at the kidneys. Ending on the sacrum, shift to the double thumb press along the edge of the sacrum, down and up, slide back, and do our 4 lines laterally, using the rock. Get into those gluteal attachments, and also to swing back up to the edge of the sacrum. Okay, the 4th line, we should be at the trochanter, and working down the gallbladder channel. To the knee. Stand up. Lift and squeeze and rock the hamstrings. The up, down, up pattern. Remember to use your hand like the duck bill. Okay, pivot headward. Right hand stays down, left hand on top. Right at the gluteal fold and a little bit up onto the buttocks. Palm press your way down. You're shifting your weight into your arms. Back to the gluteal fold. Fist press. Left hand wrapped around your wrist. Helps transfer your weight efficiently through that right fist. Then turn, drop your left elbow to the gluteal fold. Right hand cradles the heel and gets a little bit of traction. Then drop your weight down through the shoulder and upper arm into the leg. Working your way right down the middle of the back of the leg, between the hamstrings, and to the middle of the popliteal fossa. We stand up, lift and squeeze and rock the gastroc. And turn headward again. Wrap your fingers around. We start the butterfly press down the leg. And your last press is the penar eminences right behind the malleoli. So we're stretching the ankle as well as pressing those points. Thumbs back up to the popliteal crease. Find the dimples, and then we start our medial and lateral lines. And again, we end right behind the malleoli. Back up to the knee, middle of the popliteal crease, thumb on top of thumb, and we work down between the two heads. Dominant thumb on top. It applies the pressure. Bottom thumb is a buffer. Stay on top of the Achilles and follow it right on down to the heel, whereupon the thumbs separate, and we continue on the heel and over onto the bottom of the foot. We do our 5 lines from heel to base of the toes. Robert, maybe scoot up a little bit. On the table so you can maybe see with the tape a little bit better. Remember to use your weight, rock your weight into your thumbs. And shift your position as you need to so that you're always facing as directly as you can the line that you're working. And we end right at the base of the big toe. Right hand comes over to the right foot, and we're going to palm press the heels and the arch and the ball and the toes, then fist press. Same 3 places. Then repeat one of those, the palm or the fist. And release. Walk to your right. All the way up to their waist. Hands on the low back. Right foot back. We'll do a brief rock and colon rock. Then step up, iliac rock. Just to reconnect the torso and the leg. Slide up. And we're going to start our thumb presses along the edge of the sacrum. Down, then up. And step back, and we'll start our 4 lateral lines. Okay, we're at the trochanter. Follow the gallbladder channel down the side of the leg. Stand up. Lift and squeeze and rock hamstrings. The third pass ends at the top. Pivot. It should be your left hand down this time, right hand on top. Palm press. Fist press. Turn. Elbow press. Remember the little traction on the heel? You don't have to grab the heel, just push on the calcaneum, drop your weight down through your elbow. Right down the bladder channel. To the knee. Stand up. Lift and squeeze and rock the calf. We end at the top, turn headward, butterfly press. Back to the knee, find the dimples, medial and lateral heads. Nice and rhythmic. It's neither fast nor slow. Back to the knee, thumb on top of thumb. The main pathway of the bladder channel between the two heads. But then we're going to stay on the Achilles. Ride it right down, follow through the curve, and up onto the heel. Over the top and onto the bottom of the foot, 5 lines. Thumb beside thumb. So actually, all those middle lines sort of get done twice, don't they? It's just the first and last position. So we're just trying to be thorough on the bottom of the feet. Just cover the whole sole of the foot. Remember to use your legs, use your weight. Thumbs are just the contact point and the transfer of energy point, locus. Okay, and we end at the base of the big toe. Left hand reaches over to the left foot, and palm press the 3 places, fist press, and this time it's pinch the lateral edge, both feet, and then at the little toe we isolate the little toes and massage them from the base to the tip. And use the table if you can as back pressure. If their feet are hanging over the end of the table, then you've got to wrap your index finger around to get some back pressure that way. Okay, then palm press. And third time. Same 3 places. Fist press. Then thumb press, bubbling spring, and walk up so your feet are together, lightening your pressure. So it's just the way to do thumbs. Drop your mind and breath into your lower dantian. Close your eyes. Feel. Just listen. If you can feel them breathing. And slowly release. Step to your left. Hand on the low back. Just ask them to come up into turtle position. Okay, resting on their hairline, not their nose. They hold their shirt tail, stroking either side of the spine. First, the position is stretching the hip, knee, and ankles, as well as opening the spine. Back and forth a few times, then we're going to end up at the neck, massaging the neck. Up and down from the shoulders to the occiput. And then let's try this kind of slow drag, like Mama Cat. Okay, we step above the table, hook our fingers onto the occiput, massage and pull again, bilaterally. There, we're going to come up a notch onto the bone, but below the ridge, and massage a little bit more there. Then step up, on to the other side. Now remember this business if their head is slipping. Let's bring our thigh up and brace the top of their head. And then we'll massage the neck from this side. And again, we'll end with a few of the slow drag and slide. We'll remove our knee. Left hand sliding down the back to the sacrum. Right hand stays where it was. You may need to tell them you're going to rock them toward you and roll them over. Catch them with your body. Help them uncurl their knees. Roll over onto their back. You're stepping to the foot of the table. And let's have you move up a little bit. So we just rolled them over from the turtle position. I'm going to grab the dorsums of the feet. You're just proximal to the MP joints. Sit back, traction, shake out the legs. If you need to regrip. Do it again. And open the legs up. Windshield wipers in. Remember, your pressure is pretty close to the ankle, not out by the toes. Then bring the feet in, push out, and repeat. And scoop the feet together. Lift the legs, slip the pillow in, open the legs shoulder width, and step to your left. We'll take the hands and even out the shoulders, fold them over the solar plexus or higher, left knee up on the table, hands around to the low back, kind of feel the arch, and then pull the pelvis down to flatten the back. And then if you wanted to or needed to drape them at this point, we'll turn and face the knee, kneecap in your right palm, and rock the leg. Pay attention to the hip, the knee, and the ankle, foot. Make sure it's all involved. Feel it, look at it, see what's going on. And let the rock die down, and we're going to do the lift and squeeze up the quads. Remember, this is your duckbill squeeze. Up, down, up is the pattern. It's the duckbill that helps prevent the tickle. Okay, feel the shape of the rectus femoris, and at the top, then we're fist pressing down. So elbows are out. Use your pecs. Up to the same start point, but then go a little wider. Second pass. The fingers are loose. Third pass, wider still. Really onto the medial and lateral side of the thigh, so we've done the whole upper half by the time we're done. At the knee, we slip our fingers around behind the knee and thumbs press semicircles around the patella. And the next circle is a little bit bigger. And the third circle, a little bigger still. So you really come around the medial and lateral aspect of the knee, and you wind up at the insertion of the patellar ligament at the bottom. Turn. Push the leg away from you, and sometimes you got to open it up a little wider. Pop it up with your right knee just below the malleolus on the side of the foot. Kneecap in your left hand. Right thumb is going to work. Find the groove between the tibia and the tibialis, and there's our first branch of the stomach channel. Rocking your weight into your thumb. Down to the ankle. Last point, right on top of the ankle, in the hollow there between the tendons. Back up to the knee. Out a little bit, so you're on the tibialis. The second pass. The main pathway of the stomach channel. Same end point at the ankle hollow. Back up to the knee. Out another finger breadth. Pick up the groove on the lateral side of the tibialis. between it and the extensor digitorum. And follow the tibialis to the ankle. Now, right foot steps way back, lowering your weight, push the leg slightly further. Our fourth pass, find the head of the fibula and start just inferior to it and come down the gallbladder channel on the side of the leg. We should be at the bottom in front of the fibula and pass in front of the malleolus into the sinus tarsi. Right foot steps up below the table, left knee up onto the table. And push their pant leg up, drape their Achilles over your thigh, clamp the ankle down, and right hand rotates the foot. A couple of good stretches, and then we'll start our forefinger press. Remember to get your thumb over on this side. We start right behind the malleolus and following the spleen channel up just posterior to the tibia. All the way to the condyle, back to the ankle. Our next line is a finger breadth posterior to the first liver channel, all the way up to the condyle. It's a little further back, back to the ankle. Same start point on all three lines, but this time we're following the kidney channel up. We should be just anterior to the edge of the soleus and medial head of the gastroc. And it brings us up almost around to the back of the knee. Then smoothing and warming the channels with the fingertips. And then specifically on the bottom, the shaft of the tibia, where the liver channel is running there, get that. Okay, grab the pant hem and pull the pants down as you step below the table, spreading the dorsum of the foot. Separate those metatarsals. Then on the arch, fingertips sliding across the bottom of the foot, but still focus kind of on the bones. Then thumb slides between the metatarsals and the toes, outer pair, then the inner pair. Okay, then we're going to drop down on your right knee, right hand cups the heel, a little bit of traction. Left hand cradles the toes. Wiggle the toes in order to manipulate the MP joint. The traction's important here. Release, stand up, and we're going to squeeze and press with the left hand the lateral line on the little toe, then the middle line, right down onto the nail, then the medial line. Onto the fourth toe, lateral, middle, and medial. And continue. And get to the big toe. Use both thumbs, medial and lateral line together. Then right down the middle together, so you get the whole top of the big toe. And then repeat the medial and lateral lines. Okay, then right hand reaches over to the other foot, and we're going to thumb press from the inside of the heel along the medial aspect of the foot to the MP joint. We'll do a couple passes on that. Hooking the thumbs into the space just proximal to the MP joint. Then squeeze both feet and step to your right. Turn, face the knee, rock the leg. This time the patella is in your left palm. And it should be moving. You should be able to feel it engaged. Involved, and we'll let the rock stop. Segue into lift and squeezing the quads. Up, down, up pattern. Turn headward, fist press. Headward. That way you can watch their face. Okay, 3 passes. Each pass gets a little wider. Remember to let your fingers stay loose and ride up over the heels of your palms. They kind of squish. And that you're using this part of your fist between the MP joints and the PIP knuckles. Use your pecs. Feel your way along. Now we're at the knee. Transition to the knee circles. Always using the pads, your thumbs. Each circle gets a little bigger. Really encompass the whole anterior aspect of the knee. Okay, turn. And push the leg away from you. Prop it up with your left knee this time. Patella in your right palm. Left thumb is going to work the 3 branches of the stomach channel. Remember to use your thumb properly. You're going to keep that joint from getting stressed. Got to feel that end point right at the ankle joint. Okay, left foot steps way back. Push the leg a little further away from you. 4th line finds the head of the fibula and the gallbladder channel. And down the side of the leg. We will pass in front of the malleolus. into the sinus tarsi. And then step up. Right knee up onto the table. Drape the Achilles over your thigh. Clamp it down. Rotate the foot. And stretch the ankle, pushing it headward a few times. You need a minute here?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, let's push the pant leg up out of the way if it moves easily. If it doesn't, then just work right through the clothing. Okay, remember, get the thumb right on this side. Fingertips in the space behind the malleolus. And start up the 3 in channels of the leg. Feel the condyle, come back to the malleolus. Finger breadth back posteriorly. And so as much as anything else, you also change your intention there about what channel you're working on. Third pass, kidney. Almost wraps around to the back of the knee, then smoothing. Get the bottom of the shaft of the tibia. Grab the pant leg, pull it down as you step below the table, spreading the dorsum of the foot. And spreading the arch. Around here. Let's see. And thumb slides. Outer pair, inner pair. Outer, inner. Then right hand isolates the little toe. I'm sorry. Let's kneel down on your left knee. Left hand cups the heel. Right hand cradles the toes. Vibrate. And stand up and isolate the little toe. Lateral line. Three lines on each toe. Try to start as close to the MP joint as you can. Okay. On the big toe, use both thumbs, get the medial and lateral line together, and down the middle together. Repeat. Then the left hand reaches back over to the right foot, and we'll thumb press from the heel to the MP joint along the medial aspect a couple of times. Hooking the thumb, one of the few places where we hook into that space. And squeeze the feet, step to your right, walk all the way up and take the hand off the torso 2 fingers in each hand, palm is down. Gently traction the arm and shoulder, shake it out. Remember to not lift it up too much, just pull it toward you, pull it towards your dantian. Let it tap against the table, then turn the palm over. Left hand into the elbow crease. Right hand pumps the forearm. So stretching and pressing the yin channels as they pass through the elbow. Now, swing it around, stand up, and let the wrist just hang. Notice the direction the fingers point. Sort of straight to your left. You're facing their face, aren't you? Left hand comes up from the elbow to the fingers. Bend the wrist back to your right. And then to your left. Just pulling it in both directions. Remember to hook the thumb with your little finger so we get it engaged. The MP joints are right in the palm of your hand. So you don't have too much leverage, but you've got enough. And you can always slide out on the fingers once you have done a few and got them warmed up. Okay, now just bring the hand up to vertical clamp with the right hand right at the wrist joint. Feel the hand kind of separate from the wrist. Then pull up on with the left hand and rotate. And change directions. Go back and forth a few times. Just trying to get it to open up. Then step back, palm down, low again. Dantian level, spread the dorsum of the hand. Then the palm, fingertips. Then we're going to alternate. Then thumb slides. Outer pair, inner pair, get through the MP joints and all the way to the webbing. And on the hands, we're going to do this 3 times. Even if we only did it twice on the feet. All the way to the webbing, then right hand, little finger, squeezing the sides from the MP joint on out, then top and bottom. We're going to get that little bit of traction, so you open up the joints and it facilitates your sliding. Then put the little finger down, pick up the ring finger and sides. Top and bottom. Sides again. Put it down, pick up the middle finger, and we'll continue in this fashion. Maybe you want to start as close to the MP joints as you can get all the way into the webbing. Feels so much better if you do that. Then change hands for the thumb. Okay, push the arm away from you. Clamp the wrist in your palm, right in the center of your palm. Lace your fingers around the radius. One thumb on the back of the hand, one thumb in the palm. Squeeze the air out so you're not going to slip. Lift the arm and stretch. First one's just the shoulder, kind of easy. Then relax and dangle. And if at any time you need to re-grip, just put the elbow down and redo it. And, okay, shoulder and scapula up on your tiptoes. And relax, dangle. Okay, third time we're going to have to get up on the table and stretch all the way to the spine. Shoulder, scapula, spine. Strength rhomboids, linger and relax. Step down, dangle, and you're releasing as you walk the arm down to the sides laid on the table. Step up to the head of the table and even out the shoulders. Okay, even out the shoulders, then push down towards the feet. Stand up, push the shoulders down into the table. Then step back and scoop your fingers under. Fingertips massage the upper back area and especially along the edge of the scapula, rhomboid insertions in there. Remember, your thumbs are just hanging out on top, and they limit how far your fingers can get under. Try to just use that so you don't try to go too far. But now they're in position as we stand up to massage the anterior margin. So you don't have to change your grip. Okay, that leads us to the neck. We'll do thumb circles up the side of the neck. And let's change and do finger circles up the side of the neck. Okay, fingers at the occiput, little traction, lengthen the neck and the head. Step to your right, turn around, grab the other hand, 2 fingers, traction, shake. And right hand in the elbow for the pump. Okay, wrists, stand up, flexing and extending the wrist. You're facing their face. You can watch them. They grimace. You're doing it too hard. If you're really doing it too hard, they'll probably open their eyes and look at you. And if you're not there to greet them, they're going to know you're spacing out. Okay, clamp the wrist and rotate the hand. Go both directions on this, back and forth. Okay, then palm down, elbow resting on the table. Spread the dorsum of the hand. Then fingers get the palm. Then alternate. Thumb slides. And then this time it's your left hand working, squeezing the sides of the little finger, top and bottom. Sides. A little bit of traction. Pick up the ring finger. Continue. Okay, we're going to change hands for the thumb. You may want to change your stance as well. Okay, push the hand away. Clamp the wrist in your palms. Lift and stretch the arms. First one is the shoulder. Relax. Shoulder and scapula. Way up on your tiptoes. Still got to use your shoulders a little bit probably, but do most of it with your legs. Relax and dangle. And up on the table. Get it all the way through the spine. That's one where you probably want to check out if you're pulling skin or hair or something like that. Then we dangle, we're releasing, letting go, putting the arm down, reaching over, grab the other wrist, even out the shoulders, leave the hands on the table, step to mid-torso and place your hands on their abdomen. Ideally, one upper, one lower. And reconnect. Feel their breathing. And if you can't feel their belly moving very much, you want to encourage them to breathe into and with their abdomen. Breathe into your hands. Let your hands really just melt onto their body. We're going to begin shaking, rocking. Not much downward pressure, just back and to and fro. But your hands shouldn't slip. Get them up to speed so you can see the whole body involved. Look at the shoulders, neck, and head. They're wagging. Look down the legs, hips, knees, ankles, feet, all jiggling. The rock should be fairly vigorous by now. Good movement throughout the body. Think about wiggling and massaging the back on the table too. And we're going to change the rock by making the saddle with our thumbs across the rectus abdominis and starting to add more downward pressure. Still not a lot, but we're starting that. And we're also going to move up and down a little bit. So we should start there pretty much at the umbilical level, move up to the costal margin, and then back down into the lower abdomen, so you're kind of level with the ASISs, and go back and forth a little bit. Then we'll let the rock into your cat pause. Working all around the abdomen, more or less randomly. And rotating the pressure around your hand so it doesn't stay in any one place for more than an instant. And yet, you're not moving fast. It's nice and slow and easy. And you're exploring, and you're feeling what's there. I'm not going to make a big to-do about it. We're going to migrate to the lower right quadrant and scoop up a skin roll, lift and jiggle, put it back down, move up one, Lift and jiggle. If you can't get a good skin roll, just kind of squeeze it together, or squeeze and release. Third one on this side. Put it down. I'm going to go to the far side and start just below the ribs. Lift and jiggle. And second one down, and the third one sort of in the left lower quadrant. And put it down. Move to the middle. And sometimes you got to scoop up a lot more there, and we're going to do 3 places up the middle. And put it down, smooth out the shirt, turn to your left all the way around, kind of pivoting so your right fingers are draped over the ASIS. And we're going to go around first time just for position and naming them, and then we'll do it with the breathing. So first one is the cecum, appendix, ileocecal valve. MP joints are right over the ASIS. Then move up between the ilium and the rib cage, ascending colon. Then it's almost just turn. MP joints across the costal margin, hepatic flexure. Then MP joints kind of between the 2 costal margins. It just kind of fits in there, more or less. There's your transverse colon. Then onto the splenic flexure. Okay, so those first 5 are all with the right hand. Now turn, leaving that right hand there. Left hand comes into place for the descending colon. And next one, sigmoid colon. And then pivoting down slightly the bladder and uterus. Okay, turn back around. And we'll do it for real. All right, with the breathing. Let's all breathe in together. And it's the heel of the palm sinking in. And following the breath in and letting the breath push you back out. Breathe with your partner. And we're going to go up the conception vessel with the 4-finger diamond press. Starting right at the crest of the pubis. This is the first one. Yeah, still with the breathing. Exactly the same pattern. And sink down toward the spine. So you should have at least 5 below the umbilicus. and maybe one right at the umbilicus, and at least 5, maybe 6 above the umbilicus. We're just following the breath in and out, but we're not real mechanical about it. You can sort of imagine you're floating through water, and so there can be a little bit of a drifting down aspect to your sinking in and pressing. Now remember, at the top and the bottom, you may really only be able to fit 2 fingers in. Then we're up onto the sternum, 3 fingers, span the breadth of the sternum, and we're going to press and rotate. Feel those little ripples in the sternum. Get into the valleys. And at the top, middle finger snakes over the sternal notch and pulls down toward the feet a little bit. Then spread your index and ring finger into the space below the clavicle, and then into the intercostal spaces. We're working down. So press, rotate, jiggle. Last one is the 5th intercostal space. Sometimes you really got to stretch for that one. Then over the costal margin and underneath the rib cage, thumb walk. So pushing back underneath the ribs toward the liver. And we do this 3 times. And this 3rd time, then, we're going to start to press simultaneously around the bottom of the ribs, into the sides. When we get close to the table, slip your fingers underneath, follow the 12th rib back. Underneath the kidneys, we massage these little circles. Okay, then sliding your hands forward. Feel the bottom of the ribs and the top of the ilium. Let me roll this up. You don't need to do this, but just so the tape can see. We're going to find this spot mid rectus abdominis, level with the umbilicus, and do thumb circles. Okay, then relax here. From there, we just slide the hands up, embracing the sides and whole lower rib cage, compress and churn, and squeezing the air out. Massaging the organs. Use your arms, use your pecs, get good compression. You feel the ribs moving. And stand up and cup hand, patting the spleen. Side. You go up and down a little bit, but not off the ribs, particularly. Then gently up and across the solar plexus, turn around, pat the liver side. And then headed towards the sternum, shifting to crane beak, up and down. So don't go off the sternum. Up and back down, stopping between the breasts. That's our pivot point. Step up above, sliding to the beginning of the lung channel. Thumb circles. Lung 1 and 2. And this might be a good point for me to switch so you can see what I'm doing. So hold it there or just keep working. Thumb points, lung points. Maybe okay. You want you just a little further this way. There you go. Is that good under your knees?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, shirt tail's tucked in. So pivot on your thumbs, fingers across the upper chest, first compression. We're just feeling our way. Then fingertips down, mid-chest, sternum. Then fingers out on the lower rib cage, but you're still very much on top. And then we slide out to the sides, and in one breath we come all the way up to the armpits. Now grab the biceps and turn them in, elbows out, and you can get into the armpits, pivot, and our second press with the breath, little fuller, deeper, longer, a little resistance to the inhalation, and mid-chest. And lower ribs. Out to the sides. Into the armpit, pivot. Last one, the most, ideally. Make them work a little bit to get that in-breath. Out to the sides. Okay, we're in the armpit. Slide down the inside of the arms, grab the wrists, bring them up, fold them over the lower abdomen. Slide up. Let's jiggle the shoulders, kind of even them out, relax them, then push down towards the feet. Stand up, push down into the table. Then scoop your fingers under, get the upper back. Okay, thumbs are in position. Stand up. Massage the anterior margin of the traps. Just kind of squeeze and release, squeeze and release. But let's do a little bit differently here where we kind of squeeze and hold. A little bit, relax, squeeze and hold. And maybe a third one. Any place especially that was kind of tight. Then segue into thumb circles up the side of the neck. And finger circles simultaneously. Then experiment with alternating. Then slide one hand under and squeezing the back of the neck. I hold the top of the head with my other hand. So it should stretch the skin across the throat. So look for that. Then we're going to slide the other hand in and we're going to do our arches. So first one just above C7, let the head hang back, let the weight do the work, then straighten it out. Mid-neck, hang, straighten. Base of the skull, hang, straighten, little traction there. Then let's repeat. Could be slow again, or if they felt pretty loose, let's do it a little more rapidly. Don't forget the traction. And then let's do the head neck toss. If you're doing the arches a little more rapidly, it's a pretty easy segue into this. Okay, bring that to a halt, a little traction there again, and we're going to the ears. Massaging and stretching the ears at the same time. Use the soft part of the thumb pad. Then switch to your thumbs on the earlobes. And then up the perimeter of the ear. All the way to the attachment, then back down, kind of more of a wiping across the ears. Then switch to fingertips behind the ear. Then squeeze, pinch the tragus without occluding the canal. Then finger inside the ear, loop-de-loop. Okay, then coming out, fingers in front and behind the ear, churning. A little bit of friction, but mostly stretching the attachments of the ear. And slide out from behind and around the front to the TMJ. And we're going to linger there. Remember, a lot of jaw tension relates to occipital tension. And then we're going to work down the masseter to the mandible and forward the mandible to the chin. Slide your fingers underneath and thumb circles back along the flat of the mandible. Just go into the masseter insertion in the angle of the jaw, then fingers walk back underneath the jaw, slow and easy, feeling. Those people are kind of swollen there. Then one finger massage the root of the tongue. And we're ready to start our lines. So fingers stay underneath the jaw, thumbs pressing. Work our way out toward the base of the ear. Back onto the chin, the mentolabial groove, CV24. Massage it, stimulate it. Then start your presses. Lower gum, roots of the teeth, across the masseter, out to the ear. Philtrum, and end of the governing vessel. Then either side, do the upper gum. Now curl your fingers underneath and just let them rest on the face. Kind of gets them out of the way. Beside the nose, large intestine 20. Stimulate, then press underneath the cheekbones. So you're pushing back towards your belly. Here. Stay underneath the zygomatic, out to the ear. Up onto the nose, junction of bone and cartilage, and across the cheekbones. Then onto the bridge of the nose from below. And we're going to do the infraorbital ridge. Around to the outer canthus and then out across the temples to the ear. Bridge of nose from above and the supraorbital ridge. Get around to the outer canthus and across just a little bit higher up. And you should come in more into the root of the ear, or above the ear now. To yin tang, between the eyebrows, thumb over thumb press, then across the eyebrows. Out to this apex of the ear line. And we're going to do 3 more lines on the forehead from the eyebrows to the anterior hairline. Okay, anterior hairline, fingers combing through the hair, stimulating the scalp and all the channels and points. There, little fingers go down the governing vessel. Rest of the fingers spread out. Thumbs come in just above the ear. So at least 6 or 8 of these. A lot of times it depends on, well, it just depends. I feel like you get good stimulation on the scalp, but let's make the next one the last one. Fingers hit the table, slide around to the occiput while you're kneeling down. Fingers on the occipital ridge, we're going to massage. Along the ridge out to the mastoids. Go back and forth, and at some point in there, just use one hand and get into the nuchal notch, governing vessel. Those points right at the base of the skull. Then go back to bilateral. And then hook your fingers. Find a good hooking on point in the occiput. Brace your forearms against the table. Hold them toward you, then release and start your rock, your occipital rock. Just pulling and letting them spring back. Now watch their feet. The whole body should be involved. Their feet should be moving. You know, the whole spine, all the joints get get involved, stretching all the channels. Then we're going to let the rock die to a halt, but keep some traction there. Then slowly release and slide your thumbs up to the top of the head by way, GB20, 100 meetings points. We're just a thumb breadth above the table. Resting, no real pressure here, just resting. Close your eyes, mind and breath into your lower dantian. Just totally focused on them. Feel your way down to their bubbling spring, down to their feet. Feel their breathing. Energetically going to say goodbye. And release with your fingers. Get free of the hair. Then pull your thumbs out toward you. Get a chair or sit on the table. Sit with them until they come around. And when they're ready to talk, get some feedback. Was it too much?